Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Put something in the chat if you can. You can see and hear us, just so that we know. No. Nobody? Yes, thank you.
Hooray.
Thank you, Angie.
Thank you, Angie.
Well, hello, and morning and welcome to all of you to the Importance of Community session. You will notice that Annalise is not with us. We've had a COVID casualty and Annalise has kindly stepped in. And we've now got Philippa on board who has stepped into this one, so we can all talk together. So this session is going to be around 45 minutes and we're going to leave 15 minutes at the end for your questions. And you'll notice at the bottom there's an ask a question box. If you could put them in there, it just makes it easier for us to find them. Otherwise they can get lost in the chat. Also at the bottom you'll notice there's a donate to 7 stories. If you do feel that you can donate in some small way to 7 stories, they're the National Centre for Books in Britain. We encourage you to donate if you can. So I'm just going to introduce Catherine. Catherine is the Assistant Regional Advisor for the SCBWI. We know it as SCBWI, where she manages the various networks and she's been a member for many years. And she's also a member of the Golden Egg Academy. I'll tell you about me. So I'm Debbie. I've been a SCBWI member for about 10 years and I run the Central East region. So Catherine's basically my boss. I'm also a Golden Egg member and I'm currently on submission with them with my novel. And then I'm going to hand you over to Philippa, who's going to introduce herself.
Hello, I'm Philippa. I have been a SCBWI, as we are supposed to say, but everybody knows us as SCBWI. Since forever, with Catherine Evans and Candy Golay and a whole raft of people you probably know if you're a SCBWI. I'm also a Golden Egg editor and quite chatty on social media as a general rule. Is that enough? Is that fine?
That's plenty. That's plenty. So we're going to just basically have a chat about what community means to us. But we're going to start off with the dreaded faring in lockdown. So just really how have we coped? Have you managed to do any writing, either of you? Have you got anything done? Catherine?
So I have a 7-year-old and a 10, now 11-year-old. So when lockdown came, my husband, just before lockdown, he thought it was all gonna, it was gonna go away. So he went to Australia. He was literally there a weekend before I rang him going, they've shut the schools, come home. So, I was very anxious at the beginning of lockdown, in all honesty. And my kids obviously were at school, and for a month, I would say I was sort of really on it. I was working out 3 times a week. I was homeschooling, and I had 2 of them. And the provision from our school was not great, in as much as there was a real emphasis on let's just all be very well, let's do baking. But I mean, it didn't give me a lot to go on. So I was really organised with them. If they had a break, I wrote, and I probably did about 10,000 words in the first month, because I was just like, yes, yes, yes. And then that happened, about a month. And then I hit a wall, and then we all cried, and I drank gin, and I didn't write anything until they went back to school in September.
Oh dear. Yeah. How about you, Philippa?
Obviously I had a wonderful time, curiously, because of the Golden Egg bunch of friends that I have and SCBWIs. and being online, that has been a total lifesaver. I have a 93-year-old father up in Yorkshire who I keep in touch with, and go and help from time to time, and been chatting to him every day on Duo, telling about what I've done. So I've got to kind of keep writing things down to give him something else to tell him what I've done. And every morning, pretty much, I have this lovely, great big, sorry, not very good at this, great big notebook, and I write longhand something in there, little stories, and sometimes they become ones on my blog. And that's how I've kept going with that. But it's been more working with the people I'm editing and chatting about all that, and that's made such a difference of not feeling as isolated as you would otherwise.
Yeah.
How about you?
Can I just say though that despite me not writing, or not, nothing meaningful, I did always keep in touch with my Scoobies and like Golden Egg, and obviously with the regions and people like yourself, Debbie, who were just, and you're about to say, but you've just been an absolute powerhouse and essentially kept regional Scoobies going. and me.
Keep you busy.
Yeah. Go on, tell them about your lockdown.
Yeah. So my children are in their 40s, so I've been able to just be at home, and just me and my husband. And lockdown has been brilliant for me because I managed to write 2 books and edit another one during the last year. A lot of it due to the community, which we're going to come to. Also I've been organising events for Golden Egg and for Scooby as well, because I think it just keeps me focused. I'm a real fidget. I'm a terrible fidget. My husband will tell you that if you take me, don't take me to a beach, because I can last 15 minutes with a book and then I'm sighing and bored and I look at something and I'm just a terrible fidget. So for me, as I say, when lockdown came, I was able to really focus on my writing. And as I say, get 2 books done, 1 finished, and that's on submission with Golden Egg now. So, it's different circumstances all the time, isn't it? And that's how it works. So that's the next question is bringing us on to how we have used the communities. How have we, taken part in things during lockdown and involved ourselves within the communities? And I've just said that, one of the things that for me, again, was to create events. So I've been able to, as Central East network organizer, I've been able to create lots of events that were able to be accessed nationwide, not just within Central East area. And that, again, has kept me going because, the writing is one thing, but being able to chat with other people and do something, it's kind of like giving something back. I just feel like I'm giving something back because I took a lot from Scooby over the last 10 years. And the same with Golden Egg, and now I'm able to give it back in some way. So, Catherine?
Well, first of all, we're very grateful to be. So the things I took part in over lockdown, I did actually sign up for quite a few festivals. One of the other communities that I do dip in and out of is the Jericho. They organise the writers. It used to be called it was the York Conference, which is normally over September. I'm in the Northwest, so it's not too far from me. So I've been a couple of times. They did a festival that lasted all summer. There was the Scooby American Summer Spectacular. So and all your events. So I signed up for quite a lot. If I'm honest, I didn't do as much as I thought in April I was going to do. And even every time I signed up for something, I thought I would, I'll go and escape and sit in the office. But I think I think there was a lot of screen time. There's been a lot of screen time to me, and I did experience the Zoom fatigue. So yes, I have done those events, but probably I prioritised my Northwest Scooby socials, the monthly critiques.
Yes.
And when I got to a point where I was like, no, I need to prioritise how much I'm on a screen, they were the things that I prioritised. And I did your events were great. James's, Vashti's, they're brilliant. So I did those ones as well.
Good fun. Yeah. How about you, Philippa? What kind of things have you been involved in online and within the community?
Well, again, it's a Scooby thing. In our local area, Chichester, we actually have 2 Scooby groups. We started off with just me and Catherine Evans, God knows how many years ago, meeting in the cafe. And then because it got so many, we've got 2 Scooby Zoom chats that are regular events. One's more frequently and very short. And we just talk through what we've been doing and encourage each other that way. Then the other one is monthly and a little longer. And that, again, is going through what people have done, setting targets, and again, encouraging them to meet those, saying what the difficulties were and so on. Now, I'm going to put myself out here a bit. I suffer from depression. I have. It's a thing that every now and then the black dog comes and sits on my knee and won't go away. Golden still took me on, bless him, despite that, and they've been wonderful on that front, supporting me. And the difference it makes when you've got people who will take you as you are, both in the Scooby and the Golden Egg. In fact, the whole writing community, because I know all the people from Avon. If you drew a Venn diagram of all the people I know in children's publishing, it'd be like a rose with all these intersecting circles. And knowing that there are people out there who you can say, do you know, I can hardly lift a pen up and I don't want to, and I just want to sit in the corner and drink gin, which I must do, is really, really helpful. So if there's anyone out there who hasn't written something and is feeling, I'm not really a writer. Well, you still are a writer, even if you've so much as thought of an idea, even if you've just been out and seen a stupid cat, you've seen a stupid cat video and thought, oh, that'll make a nice picture book, or listen to somebody, I would say waiting at the bus stop, but maybe waiting in the queue at the post office. It's amazing what you hear there. You're still processing as a writer, and I've had that support, but people have said that sort of thing to me, perhaps more specific because they know me, but really you are a writer still, and just you can keep going, even if it's the thinnest of threads. You're still there, and you're here now, so clearly you are part of our community. So even in the darkest moments, there were people who went, are you all right? And that's worth its weight in gold. I can't tell you.
Yeah, and I think it's, as you say, it's important to know that, during lockdown especially, we've all, reacted differently because of our different circumstances. And, don't be beating yourself up if you've got no writing done, because even if you notice something, like Philippa says, you might scroll something down, maybe even just reading books. It's all part of, of being a writer. It's not that you've got to complete something or, write something. I was fortunate to have that time. Obviously it happened 40 years ago. I'd have been up to my eyes in nappies, so I wouldn't have been able to do anything. But it is important. And, in our communities that we have in Golden Egg and in Scooby are just so important. And I think being able to turn to them for whatever silly question that you might have, and somebody will always have an answer. and you think, oh, it's the silliest question in the world, someone will always come online and give an answer. And you're never on your own. And that's the wonderful thing. We feel as writers that we sit indoors and we write on our own. But you know what? Within these communities, we're never on our own because people are always around us.
Yeah, and people, like Philippa was saying, you know, people, if you get to know and you put yourself out there in the writing community and people know where you're up to and they get to know you, then you do feel less alone. And like you say, even when you're not writing, there'll be people understanding why you're not writing. So I went on submission in January. So on top of my general lockdown anxiety, I was getting rejections or feedback, and you know, so it was just, bless my agent, she was like, this is just the worst the worst time you can imagine. In that way, lockdown actually took the edge off the anxiety for submissions, which, you know, it gave me something different to worry about. But particularly Marie Basting, Anna Mannering, they all knew what I was going through, and they knew I was a nervous wreck, and I would just occasionally send them a message. And they were the only people who actually understood what I was going through, because they've had similar. My husband's really supportive, but he's never read a book in his life. He's just a bit like, well, can't we just stick it on Amazon? If this doesn't work, we'll just do this, won't we? And I'm like, well, I'm just texting Anna and Marie, trying to be supportive, but they just don't understand the way that your writing community do.
No, absolutely, and they're just so essential. For those of you who may not know, there's a Scooby main Facebook page that you can get onto, even if you're not a member. So you can go on there and see the kind of things that we do. But then we are also, you know, once you join, then you'll become part of a smaller community. You know, as I say, I run Central East, which is Cambridge and Norfolk and around those areas. And, you know, likewise with Golden Egg, if you come and join Golden Egg, that we have what we call the nest. We're all eggs, so we're called eggs, and we have what's called the Golden Egg Nest. And that's where we all go to see what's going on with golden eggs, and also to see, you know, if somebody's got a question, or people will put events on there. Again, it's a huge community. And I'm just thinking, you know, the next part of me is like, you know, what makes them so special? You know, what is it about? You know, because there are communities of, you know, other people, but what makes a writing community so special to us? You know, how important is it? I've put to find your tribe. You know, the people you belong with. Perhaps, Catherine.
Well, I was thinking about this, and for me, so I would say, you know, if I wrote down a list of the things that are important to me in my life, it would be family, friends, and writing. Those are my top priorities in my life. And obviously your family and friends, you can be yourself around, etc. When you first start writing, it feels, I don't know if it's the Englishness, the northernness in me. I came from a house where, you know, we didn't even enter competitions on the TV, because it was like, well, you won't win that. Why? I'm not spending a stamp on that. You're not going to win. It was very much like, well, you know, dreams were nice, but not something. It wasn't a very aspirational, you know, anything is possible. I think it was the 80s and the 90s, wasn't it? So it feels like a guilty secret sometimes. People would say, you know, when you're in the school playground and what you're doing this weekend, I'd be like, oh, I'm meeting some friends. I wouldn't go, oh, I'm going to my writing group, because I have this ambition. So you know, around a lot of friends, even like I say, my husband is really supportive, but does he act? And he actually has his own crazy dreams of being, you know, so he understands, but he doesn't understand like you two do. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love walking into a conference or going to my crit group or a social. And it's like somewhere you can actually be yourself. You don't have to apologize or go, oh, well, I was sort of thinking about it'd be nice if, you know, you walk in, what are you writing? Oh, I'm doing this and I want to. And you can just be yourself. It is a community that understands. And before I did join like a little writing group in Stalybridge Labour Club. We used to meet. I brought the average age down by about 50 years. I swear down. I mean, this, I'm not being facetious. I went to 2 funerals. You know, it was a really like people's friend.
Yeah.
But they were the first, they were gorgeous. I loved them. They were my first little writing group who were like, oh, there's other people doing this, but they didn't have massive ambitions. It was just nice to get together. And that was absolutely fine. And then when I met Scooby and they were like, oh, you know, oh, people get published and you can start taking yourself seriously.
Yeah.
That when I found that community, I was like, oh, okay, my dreams are all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm a similar background. Well, I'm from a class background in Brixton in South London, hence the accent. And yeah, similarly, there were no real aspirations at all to do anything, and I never start writing until probably late 30s, 40s, because I didn't really think that I should be doing it. You know, there wasn't the thing with me was that you know, who am I to think I can be a writer, that kind of thing. So I kind of just started writing for myself, and you know, and then getting it together. And when I was in Surrey, then was the, you know, the Scooby group was there, but it was quite a big group because of being in London. It was more nearer London. And when I moved up to Norfolk in which is about 6 years ago now, that's, you know, really when I did find my tribe, I have to say, because I found that there was a group in Cambridge. I went and joined the group, and I've never looked back. You know, since then I've taken over the group. But, you know, those people I met 6 years ago are my friends, and they're good friends. Friends we call each other on the phone. We have Zoom chats. We've got a great crit group that goes on. And I really do find, you know, have found that they are my Scooby tribe, those there. And with Golden Egg, probably just slightly different, but not really, because Annalise and Jane and people around Suffolk, Norfolk area, you know, we've become really great friends again. So, and finding that, both of those together, I felt like I'd been given permission to write. I'm allowed to be a writer now, and I don't look at the floor when I tell people what I do now. I don't look at the floor and mumble. I actually tell people that yes, I'm a writer. That's what I do. That's my job. Philippa.
Oh well, yeah, happily. I'm muddle class. I'm very, very muddle class, and by that I mean I was brought up working class in the literally back-to-back terraces in Leeds as a small child.
Yeah.
But then, bizarrely, it's a long and complex and boring story, but I ended up at Wakefield Endowed High School for Girls. So, which is like, yes, culture clash. Doesn't begin, nearly expelled in my first week. That was grand. But that on one side, there is a reason to this, from the writing point of view. The high school was very aspirational, as you will not be surprised. And there was always a proper way of doing things. Very, very, you know, we know the rules. This is how you, if you play the game, you will succeed. If you learn all these rules and you're proper and you're equal to anybody. Now, it does work for a lot of people. But for whatever reason, over time, it didn't work for me and it felt like a straitjacket. And it made me think, I was sort of so trained into that thinking. I thought there were rules you could follow and then you would get published and then it would be all wonderful. And no, it doesn't work like that. And if there's anything that the people I have met and talked to in the writing community that I would share with anyone, there is no right way of doing it. There is your way, and it might even be different for different books, and for different projects. And if you're an artist and say a picture book creator, there aren't any guarantees. There aren't any rules. It's the creativity. It's they've been open to all those things going around you, including your family and your friends, that makes the difference, that actually makes it worth doing. So if you can find those people, your tribe, as you put it, Debbie, then they get that, and that any advice you give them, and this is me now with putting the other editor's hat on, it is still there up for, well, not exactly negotiate, kind of a negotiation, a very friendly, warm, encouraging negotiation of you as an individual and things that may help you. You know, through our experience, we know what is likely to, but it's still you as an individual. And that support, curiously, so you think community would you have to be like everybody expects you to be. Well, you don't, not at all. Mm-hmm. It's more that individuality makes you part of the community, if that makes any sort of sense. Yeah. But if you're out there feeling like you regularly do, the weirdo, the one who doesn't know how these things work, and what am I supposed to do? And if I do the rules, it'll be all right, won't it? And then it isn't. It's fine. You'll still have a place among those who create, and actually artists are very and theatre people, and not.
Yeah.
If that's any help to anyone.
No, that's great. And the other thing, that it's the, I don't want to say we're major players, but do you know what I mean? That we create the events or we run stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's really how we can support the community, the things that perhaps we do, and how they can support each other. So just, for my mind, for me, supporting the community, as I say, has been putting on, last year I was able to put on a lot of free events. And a lot of them were run by locals in my group, or by, happen to be friends, with James, Nicole, and Vashti through Scooby, and asking them to do some events for us. So I was able to do that. And I think it's also putting yourself out there, that you do need to, the community isn't going to knock on the door. You need to put yourself out there sometimes, and that's kind of what I was trying to do last year as well. I thought this is an opportunity for me, as I say, to give something back. So putting things on the main Scooby page, whether it be an event or something else. And within my own region, I used to put on daily prompts. So at the moment we're doing winter prompts, or last time I put on writer prompt. What are you writing? Who's your main character? What does your antagonist have in their pocket? Things like that, just to get the conversation going, and so that those people who are feeling perhaps on the edges of the community can just feel that they can reply with a GIF, or they can just write something very simple down, just so so that we know that there's something there to keep the momentum going. Catherine, I don't know you know, you're heavily involved with all the network stuff anyway, being the boss.
Yeah, all the networks were, I used to be Northwest organiser, and I just presumed all the networks were like mine. Oh, the last Debbie.
Disappeared. Oh, I've gone down the bottom.
Lost
Go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, I presumed all the networks were like the Northwest at first, but I've got to know all the different cultures, and you know, they all work really, really well in their own little different ways. Yours is probably the most interactive on Facebook with prompts. There's others where it's more, right, we'll meet here, and the bigger socials, or, you know, Zoom, critique groups. They've all got their individual cultures. So obviously, if anybody thinks about joining, it's a matter of reaching out to your local network. It's also worth, depending on where you live, looking at the regions nearby, because it might be that you are, so we have quite a few people from Sheffield who it's actually easier. They are technically northeast, but it's easier for them to get to Manchester than it is to get to, so it's only sort of an hour on the train. And I think you're probably a little bit like, my geography's rubbish, but I imagine, especially around the south, there's a bit of movement as well. So just connecting and see which cultures work better for you. Yeah, I mean, the other ways, when you were saying about how to, what to do for the communities, it was great doing the free events last year. And I think this year, we're also quite mindful that those speakers who were so generous with their time last year, you know, we really want to do events where they can get paid as professionals this year. And because, you know, they have a great value, so we want to do events which are affordable for them, but also affordable for our members, but they are treated as the professionals that they are, because it is a two-way thing, you know, so I think that's the thing with volunteering. I'm a little bit, I started out a little bit less selfless than you were. I wanted things to happen in my region, and I wanted that community, and for various reasons, the Northwest had fallen off. But there was loads of writers nearby, so it was a matter of, right, if who's going to do it if I'm not? And actually, you know, I had so there was other people who were pitching in, definitely. George Kirk's up there. Marion Brown was first person that I worked with, and Marie had like my job. She was overseeing everybody, and we were really lucky. She was there we just like got the Northwest working, and you know, so it's a bit of, if you want something to happen in your area, sometimes you have to sort of put yourself out there and make it happen. And it's, you know, obviously not everybody's that way inclined or don't feel confident enough, but there's probably little ways that you can make that happen, even if it's saying, can I help distribute crits, or can I help like with an event, maybe, I don't know how this crowdcast works, but you know, can I run the room, you know, letting people into Zoom, tiny ways that you can help and just grow your confidence, grow your input, and just make the life of a volunteer easier.
Absolutely.
Gone off on a tangent, sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. No, that's fine.
It's a grand tangent, is that, about small things making a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be a slippery slope, like Tolkien says about putting your foot on the road. You never know where it'll lead you. Because I started off as a badge seller at the school conference, God knows how many years ago. I think 2008. That's long.
Wow.
Yeah, quite. put that aside. I also do for Scooby and also complicated, but the tweets. I do. I'm part of the tweeting mechanism for Scooby, and that can make a real difference because I've just come from the marketing and publicity meeting this morning, which if anybody was there, it was brilliant and really interesting. And that, interestingly enough, tied in with what we're saying about community. That what my son refers to as organic growth, when it comes to my tweeting as me, not Scooby, tweeting as me. He said, "Mum, you're amazing. I don't know how many you've got. How have you got so many followers?" And I'm going, because I just talk about things I'm interested in and talk to my friends about the stuff I'm interested in. And it's grown from there. And I'm not an influencer by any stretch of the imagination, but I've been doing it a long time, and a lot of people know what the sort of stuff I care about, and I care about them because I've chatted to them a lot. And if there's anything the marketing people were saying, is that's what matters, the publicity, the interaction, the real genuine you talking about the things that you care about, and your colleagues and friends coming back to you and saying, "Oh, have you seen this by so and so?" Or "This is a brilliant book about Dapo Adewola." Oh, I'm sorry, I must ask him how he pronounces his name. But a fantastic artist has mounted a campaign because the BBC were not crediting artists, and he's both an artist and a writer. And he's actually got the momentum behind him to get that change. And the BBC have actually gone, you know what, in future, if we have a book on, we'll credit not just the writer, but, a picture book that will credit the artist as well. Little things like that. So it might only been a few people just saying, "Yeah, Daps, this is brilliant, carry on," that spread it and spread it and spread it. That was just a really important thing especially for the Black community, to see their art, representation of children in picture books that were on the BBC. Is like, yeah, that's how it should be. That it should be a natural part of everybody's experience to see. Look at these illustrations, and that. Yeah, thank you. Angie, do you know? Angie's just said Dapo Adewola is doing amazing things, and she's so right. That reached out. I would never have known him about him or his campaign had it not been for Twitter, and I wouldn't have got on the Twitter if it hadn't for people in Golden Egg and Scoopy saying, give it a go. If you don't like it, you don't have to keep doing it. And so it's grown organically, and I have friends that I have never met in real life, but nonetheless our DMs and our Zoom meetings are full and frank, and it can make a brilliant a network that works even in the current circumstances. That you can't see them physically, but you can have a chat and you can share your feelings. Sorry if I've waffled on, but
no, you've actually gone into that next question, which was about if you're not part of, you don't have to be part of a specific, community and sign up to things. That there are other ways of being part of a community, and that was one of the things we were thinking about is going on to Twitter, using hashtag #writing, #editing. And signing up or following people, putting up something. I sometimes just put up pictures of cats, and I'll say that this is my cat Albert. I don't have any cats, but people like cats. They like people.
She's a genius.
But people like cats, don't they? So I'll put a cat up. I think I put a cat up spinning around, and it was just kind of like that. This is my kind of day today, so I just put, "This is my cat Fred, he feels the same way of me," and then I hashtag I don't really have a cat. But people like and people they naturally like pictures, and that's the thing. That's one of the studies, that if you put a photo or a picture up with your tweet, that you're going to get more response from people. Yes, I am sneaky with the cats. Do look out for me, because as I say, you'll see all the different cats, and I'll call them names depending on what they look like. I'll just make up a name for them. Yeah, but I always do hashtag this is not my cat, really.
Yeah.
But again, you don't have to be part of Scooby, you don't have to be part of Golden Egg to be able to do things like that. And I have.
You don't even need a cat.
No, you don't even need a cat.
Chutzpah. You need chutzpah.
But it's again, it's accessing, and following people on Twitter. I don't know about you guys. I don't use Instagram.
I do. Yeah, I do actually.
You do?
I put a lot of pictures. I put pictures of the books I'm reading on Instagram. My husband's massively into Instagram. So he got me into it, to be honest, because he races cars, and his racing community is massive on Instagram. They put videos on, etc. So he got me on it, and yeah, I just put pictures of the book I'm reading, things like that. I'm not very good, but I'm there.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. I've never really taken to it. I mean, I used to do a lot on Facebook, like with Purple Ray Publishing, which is my self-publishing, which I'm just going to tell you about quickly because I'm on tomorrow talking about self-publishing. So my self-publishing page is Purple Ray Publishing. And I used to update that quite a lot, but I just found that, once I was on Twitter, I just found that a lot easier. Quite easy to follow people, see what they're up to, and retweeting somebody or adding a little comment on the bottom of an agent is always nice. I just think, oh, I've just commented on an agent's tweet. How very exciting. They have no idea who I am, but the more I do it, the more they'll know who I am. And it's, at the end of the game is, whatever we do, for me, the end of the game is I want to be published. I want an agent and I want to be published. And if those are different vehicles on the way, I'm enjoying that, to be able to enjoy the sense of community that I have, along the way.
I think that's one of the things about the writing community, though. Once you get involved, it does take the barriers down. So like you were saying, you will tweet an agent who, when you first picked up a writer's and artist book back in the day before,
oh yes,
it was like, who are these names?
Yes,
and these must be really, but then you go to a conference, or you have a one-to-one in one of these virtual ones, or you go to a Golden Egg event where they've got somebody speaking, and you realize that they're just real people. Absolutely. And you think you won't even. So I was pregnant the first conference I went to, Golden Egg, Scooby conference I went to. I was pregnant, and the year after, the agent who I'd had a one-to-one with, she came back, she was, oh, you've got your baby, and having a chat about baby, and I was like, so community takes down the barriers, doesn't it? And opens up doors. She didn't go, oh, you've had a baby, here you go, I'll represent, it's not like that. It's just feeling like, I don't know what was wrong with her, quite frankly.
Honestly.
I was totally with it. I was a dream client at that point. But it's just the breaking down of barriers and making you feel more confident that things are achievable. And the more people around you who achieve, the more you think, oh, actually, it might happen. And
Absolutely.
the more, and also the more people who maybe don't, the more people who are in the same boat as you. That makes you feel a bit more normal as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know.
Okay, right. Well, we're going to come to our questions. So we've got 4 questions. If anyone's got a question, do pop it in there. Right. So this is from Sarita, and she says, I understand the importance of community, but how do you find your community? How do you get into groups which are already so established and chummy with each other without feeling you'll always be lurking on the edge of it?
Can I have a shot at this one?
You go for it.
Now, this is something perhaps I'm not proud of, but it was very revealing. Many years ago, I don't think they'll mind me saying this, and tough to do. I had a beach walk with Kathy Evans and Candy Gorley, and we are talking a long time ago. And they knew each other, and they were having a lovely chat, and I just felt a bit out of it. And perhaps wrongly or rightly, I wrote a blog post about it, about feeling that being the satellite, that they knew everything and knew everyone, and I just felt like this little speck circling around 2 great big suns. And they, unsurprisingly, they read it, and they could not have been kinder and nicer and got where I was coming from, and that they had felt like that earlier on in their career. And it really makes a tremendous amount of difference. So, although you might feel, anyone might feel that you're the outsider, everybody that looks like this great star or really important person has been through that of feeling, I don't belong here, I don't know what I'm doing, it's terrifying, unless they're complete plonkers, but there are. We'll ignore them. But nobody I know and speak to regularly comes under that heading, and so try just have a little chat. Have if you're on Twitter or on Instagram, just like somebody's post about a book that you've read and they've read, and say, "Oh, I really like such and such a character," and you can just build up relationships quite gently and in an unthreatening way, because we've all been there. We've all known that feeling of being they're up there and I'm down here, and it isn't really like that at all.
No, I agree with you, Philippa. I mean, I think I experienced a similar thing. I went to a Scooby conference, and I think I was just so overwhelmed. That was when I was living in Surrey. I was so overwhelmed because there was so much going on, and it was a bit crazy. And I was kind of like hovering around places and trying to smile at people and things. But and I just think, look at the me now. I look at the me that's now, and if I hadn't have gone off and put myself out there and try to join in things, say hello to people I didn't really know, it's hard to think back then that I was so nervous and worried about joining things, but it is, as Philippa's saying, it's put yourself out there, go on Twitter, like people, go on Facebook, like what they're doing. See if there are lots of conferences coming up. You've obviously got this one free, and there's last year I think there was the Hay Festival, the Summer Spectacular, Right Mentor as well is another one that all comes up, and join in there, and make comments like you're doing down the side. Let's know who you are so we can see what you're commenting. And there's you don't have to be that person on the outside. We do welcome everybody. Honestly, we've all been in that situation. Catherine.
Yeah, can I just add that I think when I went to my first few Scooby conferences, I thought there was a clickiness. I thought that everybody knew each other really well, and that there was only a few of us who were northern. So I was like, everybody's southern and they all know each other really, really well. This was my this was my interpretation. I mean, now those people, I know them, and I know that actually those some of them only get to see their friends once a year. So like, yes, big hugs, and and they are people who've known each other a long time, but it doesn't mean they're not open to knowing new people. I'm just going to carry on. But the other thing I was going to say is that get to know people who are new like you. So certainly at Scooby Conference, when you're actually allowed live, in the future, hopefully, there'll be like I don't know what they call it, like newbie Scoobies, or this is my first conference. I think there's
I had a badge.
Badge on your lanyard.
Yeah.
Oh look, I've got a.
Oh look.
Oh, I've got a newbie Scooby host badge, because that was when I said, "Oh, I'll help out with something." Or
Yeah.
I got a badge and I kept it.
So it's as well getting to know the people. Maybe don't always try and get into. It's not that you can't get into those groups, but they're not false cliquey groups. It's just that people have obviously built up a friendship, but they all some of them might have all started new at the same time. So it might be that you reach out to people who are also new. I think that's where getting into your region's worthwhile as well. We've had loads of new. When I'm thinking about my core friends from my Northwest region, loads of them have come in at different times, and I've got to know them just through their writing, and then you're not having to make conversation because you've gone there to critique, and conversation comes naturally.
Yeah.
So maybe start smaller.
Okay.
Being a help works as well, doesn't it? Because that's how it helped my first conference to be selling the badges. It was and because then I could talk to people I was very forceful, you can imagine, can't you? You will buy a badge. But it does, it breaks that thing. So if you've got something, again, I realise now we can't meet in reality just yet, but virtually you can help people. Have you met so and so, and figuratively introduce them. That can make such a difference to people.
Absolutely.
Well, sorry, I'm gathering.
Right, okay, matey, no worry. So I've got a question from Elva. She says, do you have any tips for new Scooby members who can't necessarily afford the extra funds for Scooby events? I know Catherine's going to come in here. How can we maximise membership?
Your regions, first of all, really hook up with your regions. The events, I actually don't know what the pricing is for events this year. Some of them
they've changed it. I do happen to know because I was one of the co-hosts for the retreat, and things have changed considerably, and we are offering places for people on lower incomes. The goal event that Debbie organised, and I helped do because this is a new thing, but we have got I think 10% of all attendees is going to be free if you are BAME, disability, hardship, financial hardship. So there is access, but beyond that, certainly apply. At the moment, it's sort of a bit first come, first served. So if you see an event and you want to get in, just fire your email off and say, can you consider me? I think with some of the bigger events, there is more of a process, but I'm not involved in it, so I'm not quite sure. But get in with your regions. That's because they share the information. There's competitions all the time in America. Your words and pictures, just make sure you're on. I know a lot of people don't like Facebook for sort of ethical and data protection grounds, but it is worth just keeping a limited profile just to get in with your Scooby main page and your regional page, because competitions are shared all the time and experience. So
Yeah,
think.
absolutely agree. I think the regions are most certainly, to my mind, so worthwhile doing. You've got that. Obviously, we've got the main Scooby page as well. But yeah, looking on there, everyone's always posting. The main Scooby page is full of people posting competitions and things going on. I'm forever trying to bump up my event, because there's I go on to it 5 minutes later, and 20 people have put something on there. So there's always something. Okay, thank you, Elva, for that one. We're going to go to Sarita's got another question, and she said, is there a Scooby Europe group? She's in Spain, where there's a Spanish group, but she'd like to be part of an English-speaking group, which she could join, or will one of the local UK groups adopt her? Louise has popped something in. Louise is in, Louise, I think you're in Switzerland. Oh my gosh. Yes. And she said that she's joined a regional group from her hometown. Yes. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Someone has said there is the Scooby Benelux. I don't know if that's helpful to you, Sarita, but they can join any region, can't they, Catherine? Thank you, Louise.
Well, this year I would say it might be worth joining your home region, because everything's online anyway, so it doesn't make such a difference. Generally, we try and keep the regions so they can build up a community. People tend to have the question before you enter the Facebook, or you ask to be have the emails. The question's normally asked, do you have a link to this region? Because if I, for example, well, I am in every region now because of BARA, but if you joined every region, then it would just be another Scooby main page. So they do try and keep that community, but I'm sure if for this year everything's going to be online. So yeah, maybe contact your home regional Scooby. I mean, that's it's fine. If you were coming and visiting, you'd be entitled to join anyway. Yeah, I don't know about English speaking groups in Spain. I don't know anything about that. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, you can go onto the main Scooby site, and it brings up all the different regions. So, I mean, you could have a scan through that. But, certainly if there's a region that you more relate to over here, then, have a look and see on there if you can join that one. Comment. So the other one. So somebody has asked about joining Scooby, and it's in dollars. Yes, it's American. It originated in America, which is why it's all in dollars, and we are the British arm of the Scooby main. So it will go through in dollars. And
actually, we've got a really good exchange rate at the moment, haven't we?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, we've got a really, get reviewing now.
Join now. Yes, join now. So you will find it comes out in dollars. I have a certain Halifax card that I use for overseas because it gives you good rates. So I have a separate one from my normal one, credit card I'm talking about. Okay, and now we are coming up very shortly to the end of this session. So I think there are no more questions in there that I can see. So I'm going to call this to a halt, and I just want to say a massive thank you to Catherine coming on board, and for Philippa for stepping up at the last 11th minute, basically, to come in and to form part of the panel.
I've loved it, and I'm looking at all these lovely remarks down the side. They're fantastic.
It's just smashing, isn't it? So that people, I just think go for it. Do something. Put yourself out there. You can do it. However small, you can do it. So go for it. Be part of our community, either Eggs or as Scooby. but go for it. You will not regret it. It is worth every penny. And talking of money, let me remind you that down the bottom is the donate button to 7 Stories, who are doing some fabulous talks tomorrow, I think, about the archives.
Make the government pay some extra as well.
Yeah, so it's all fab. And a massive call out. Thank you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth is my admin today, and she's in the background. So massive thank you to Elizabeth for looking after us. And a big thank you to all Scooby volunteers and all Golden Egg volunteers for helping to put this conference together. So we'll see you. So thank you so much. See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.